75, and look what I'm doing. Yeah, it's not the funnest thing to pack this thing around.
My whole career was 6-7 days a week, 12, 14 hours a day, and I loved it. Used to work out and play softball on the weekends and just things I can't do anymore, but yeah, I was pretty healthy. And
Meet Tony Corianis and Kenneth Phillips. They both used to be coal miners in the United States until their careers were halted by black lung. They're among countless coal miners who've had the misfortune of trying to get benefits to which they're entitled from Rockwood Casualty Insurance. Now, why should this matter to Canadians? Well, because Mark Carney's former employer, Brookfield, was making money off the backs of these gentlemen and many like them. Carney joined Brookfield in 2020 to, quote, combine positive social and environmental outcomes with strong risk-adjusted returns for investors. Under Carney, Brookfield launched Brookfield Reinsurance, an insurance division operating out of Bermuda, free from Canadian regulations and taxes.
One of the big strategic initiatives that Brookfield has taken in the last few years is to build an insurance business, and it's going very well.
In 2023, Brookfield bought Rockwood's parent company, Argo Group, for $1.1 billion, adding it to Brookfield's $1 trillion in assets under management. Now, Rockwood is dedicated to representing the coal industry, representing coal mining companies. Despite Carney's insistence on everyone else getting off coal, he's always been fine profiting off of it himself. He was at Brookfield when it took majority control of Australia's Dalrymple Bay coal terminal, one of the world's largest coal ports. Brookfield is also the proud owner of a coal power plant in Washington state, thanks to its purchase of TransAlta. But with Rockwood, Carney was making money by denying black lung treatments and benefits to sick coal miners and their families. Rockwood made $21.3 million in 2022. It made $25 million in 2023 when Brookfield decided to snatch it up. It's a simple calculation. The fewer miners they support, the more money they make. Carney and his Brookfield colleague, Bruce Flatt, saw the insurance business as a cash cow.
Look, our expertise is in investing, and therefore having the ownership of an insurance company is kind of like, as long as we can manage the liability and we're trying to do low risk insurance, we can out earn anybody else, and therefore if we can buy companies and then out earn on the asset side, you can make very high returns to the bottom line. And most insurance companies in the past have struggled with the investment side of the balance sheet. Yep. That's our core business, and so it's just sort of an addition to our overall business, and it gives us large sums of money to put to work into the strategies we have in asset management.
Of course, this vision comes at the expense of the coal miners depending on Rockwood for the treatments and medications they need. Black lung, or coal workers' pneumoconiosis, is caused by long-term inhalation of coal dust. The coal dust builds up in miners' lungs and causes fibrosis or scarring, making it more and more difficult for people to breathe. And yes, it can be fatal.
So there is no cure. We can try to manage the symptoms. And typically on the individuals that are affected significantly, those are significant symptoms for the rest of their life. There is no cure for it.
But there are interventions that can help black lung patients live more tolerable lives or stop the disease from getting worse. But when many coal miners try to access them, they find Brookfield's company, Rockwood, standing in their way.
my name's Kenneth Phillips. I'm from Belfry, Kentucky. Dad was a coal miner. And then when I got out of high school, my stepfather was a coal miner, and then that's how I was introduced to coal mining. That's what I've done since I started out of high school, and that was the goal, was to just keep mining until I got retirement age.
Just over 3 years ago, Kenneth wound up in the hospital with a bout of pneumonia. A chest x-ray revealed his lungs had severe scarring. He had black lung from his 25 years working in coal mines.
What I have is called progressive massive fibrosis, so it's going to keep progressing.
As the disease runs its course, Kenneth, who is only 46 years old, will more than likely need a lung transplant. He was prescribed an antifibrotic medication called Ofev.
It's a medication I think it was around 2018 or 19, and was brought out to slow the progression down or stop it. And they've got good results on it too. And that's what she said, I was young, and every time I go to Cleveland, they do breathing tests, PFTs, and they kept declining. Well, the last time I was down there in July, she was like, let's get on OFEV and give this a whirl, and maybe it'll stop me from having a lung transplant in the future.
The problem? OFEV can cost up to $14,000 per month. Kenneth was prescribed the drug last summer. Now, he was able to take it for 6 months, albeit no thanks to Rockwood.
My private insurance was paying for it. I guess when Rockwood denied it, my private insurance picked up, and they paid for it for 6 months. So I took it from July to December, and then when the new year turned over, the private insurance wanted a $2,000 co-payment, and I can't afford that. So I've been dealing with Rockwood over that whole time, trying to get them to pay for it, and they finally just told me that they weren't paying for it because it wasn't in the system to call my counsel. It's been tough, it really has. I mean, and like I said, it's just, this medicine's put out there for a reason to try to help people like me, and now I've been off it for almost 3 weeks now.
He was finally cut off by Rockwood for good in January. There's no sign he'll be able to get back on this drug that can keep his disease at bay and potentially prevent a lung transplant.
It's sick, I mean, you took a total responsibility for the disease I have and paying my benefits. Why can't you pay for my medicine that's going to help me in the future?
Kenneth's drug is expensive, but coal miners have difficulty getting even the most basic benefits from Rockwood. In Tony Corianis' case, Rockwood fought him all the way to the United States Supreme Court.
I worked in the mines for close to 40 years. I was in the industry. I worked as a consultant for 5 years and worked for Joy Mining Machinery for 7 or 8 years. But most of the time it was underground in the coal mines.
Tony took advantage of a national black lung screening program in the United States to regularly test for the disease.
I got called by the Department of Labor that last test I had taken, there was issues. And I says, oh really? All these years and I haven't had any, I better. He said, yeah, you need to go see a doctor.
His employer, Hidden Splendor, accepted responsibility for his black lung diagnosis. They were prepared to pay his benefits until their insurance company, Rockwood, got involved, that is. Rockwood fought tooth and nail to undo the admission of responsibility, hiring an army of lawyers and so-called medical experts to say Tony didn't actually have black lung. The 2 doctors they hired to disprove his doctor's diagnosis never even examined him.
They went off of testing that was done here at the local hospital. Excuse me. And that's when I testified. I said, what are they going off of? What basis? What testing? Did they see me take the test? No. Did they come out and question me? No. Did they have me do the exercise test to determine was it a rest or exercise that I had a problem? No. So why is there information even being considered by the court?
Rockwood fought Tony for 8 years. They lost every step of the way and likely spent more on lawyers than the benefits would have cost them in the first place. It would have been a piddly amount for a multi-million-dollar company like Rockwood, but for Tony it mattered. He was the one living through the illness.
As you can hear, I've got a raspy voice. I've got a lot of phlegm that I'm constantly coughing up. You know what? It gets expensive going to the doctor's office. Yeah, and I want my wife to have compensation after I'm gone. That's where I feel that Rockwood really was dragging their feet. Boy, they want you to pass away because the compensation your wife's left with and the compensation and the doctor's bills, while you're alive, is of course going to be higher. So it's in their best behalf that you're dead and gone and they only have to give a little bit of compensation to the wife. Nothing's fair anymore. I don't know if I could look at myself in the mirror every day and say, yeah, I'm a good lawyer. I'm sure screwing that guy over for my company.
It's these hardball tactics that made the insurance provider such a boon to Brookfield's bottom line in Mark Carney's eyes.
It's disheartening. It really is. It's like they're more worried about the money side of it than they are the health side of people that they're trying to insure.
I guess it's like everybody else. They're out to make a buck, and they want to have the good life, and that's how they do it.
It is definitely David versus Goliath as far as the amount of attorneys, the amount of money that they have backing them, but we've done all right.
There are far too many cases of Rockwood fighting against coal miners to list. Billy Mullins, Dennis McCracken, Robert Lee, Truman Nieper, Robert Rule. These are just a handful of cases from the last year alone. There are ongoing cases too right now where Rockwood continues to fight against coal miners with black lung, and in some cases they're surviving family members, if you can believe it, to get out of its legal obligations. Teddy Wright died of pancreatic cancer that was hastened by his black lung. His widow, Josie, suffered a litany of appeals as she tried to get her survivors' benefits. Kenneth Thompson has since died, and Rockwood is fighting his daughter, Jill, as she tries to secure a resolution for her father's case. But hey, the less money spent on these folks, the more flows to Carney and Brookfield, right?
It's going very well, but it's early days. It's early innings in a much bigger trend, don't you think?
If this is how Mark Carney's company treats sick coal miners, how is he going to treat Canadians?
Good luck. Good luck. It's your ethos. In Greek, ethos means, you know, your mindset, basically, to put it mildly. If his ethos is to make money, you got another problem like we do.
I believe I'd vote for the other guy.